last time on the Empire's Edge.
It does feel a bit odd. We just went from having this whole entire interaction with them, and they're just attacking us. These guys.
Yeah, it's because I have the feather of worthiness, and they need it to be noticed by all the girls.
Okay, yeah, that drops him.
I'm gonna
negative
knock
2.
him unconscious instead of kill him.
He is unconscious at your feet. You can hear that same kind of vibrational buzzing from when you guys battled the wasp. It looked like they're engaged in a fight with other beings. These wasps are probably about to kill these things. Half-orc rolls a modified 20.
Go half-orc.
Kill it, kill it, kill it.
And I did 17 points of healing to the one that I was helping.
He says, thank you. We didn't expect anyone to be coming into this area.
We didn't expect to encounter anyone.
So I'll ask him, how long have you guys been settled here?
For a number of years, this place has been ours, and it is our home.
He's not going to send an army here.
Corin looks at you, Jacob, and says, put your finger on one of those places on your map.
I point at the area where Shepton was, and I give a brief description of that area and talk about kind of what it is.
You're actually saying he'd want us to do the thing that they didn't want us to do in Arkland, that is, to fortify the area.
Essentially, you'd be...
By defending your home, and
Right.
extension, defending Worland.
We haven't exactly had a positive effect on the Brimroar.
So let's start to reduce our carbon footprint one half-orc tribe at a time.
Kicking doors open and turning things on all over the place.
Yeah, right?
And you're looking forward to that meeting date that'll be a couple of weeks in the future.
Nice.
Prepping for a feast.
Prepping for a feast. So Jacob, once you found this location, and it was fairly close to where you guys are right now, word is spreading and you are helping to communicate that word. You're setting up into that area and you're off hunting. Let's go ahead and do a survival check just to see what kinds of game you're finding and what you're able to track down.
Gotcha. Am I going by myself? Or has anyone expressed interest either?
So
from
far
us
as
or
you're
from
starting off by yourself.
them? Okay.
That is, Zelen and Boris are beginning the things that they want to do. You just take off in a direction.
Yeah, building a spit and collecting my marinade, if I remember correctly. And, survival, you said?
Yeah.
6.
All right, so there's nothing in the immediate area, so you go foraging a little further afield. Go ahead and roll one. We'll say this is about a half a day later.
Gotcha. Cool. Go further away where they're not there. 13.
Yeah, you do come across mule deer tracks.
Okay.
So like a white-tailed deer, but bigger, and you're heading off in that direction as you're doing that. By the time you're doing that, though, half-orc, you note, has been tailing you. That he's following, watching from a distance, and as you're going through this tracking down, looking to see, where's the low shoulder of a ridge where a deer might go, that you've noticed that this guy's been following you, and he's slowly catching up.
Gotcha. Like he probably seems like he's from the same community of half-orcs in this area.
Right, yeah, he seems to be, right.
Gotcha. I wanna see if I can't have a little bit of fun with him and just try and see if I can't speed up a little bit, hide, and wait for him to come back through, and then get the drop on him.
Okay, cool, yeah. So do that as a survival again for you to do your ranger maneuvery stuff.
Do you get any benefits for being in your
Since
favorite
I'm in my
terrain?
favorite terrain now, yeah, actually.
That would make sense, yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't adding that to the original rolls. Oh, yes. 26.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you find there's a copse of trees, a little bit of a hill, and you go in a direction where it looks as though, you make it look as though you're bending off to the right, but then once you know you're out of sight, you go left and left again, and within about 3 minutes, you've come up right back behind this guy.
Gotcha. What is he doing? Anything special?
Looking for you. He's kind of standing up. He has his hand above his eyes. He's scouting around because he's completely lost track of where you are. And he's not even looking at the ground to see if he can find any bent over blades of grass or a broken leaf or anything else. He's just looking for you and doesn't just know which way to go.
Gotcha. So obviously not a threat. So I will...
Way to make friends with our new team here.
Looks like we're having half-orc tonight.
Mule deer. Looks like mule deer to me.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Do they have menus in Mordor?
There you go.
That's a thought. How would they know that word?
You're right.
Whoa.
Only the nicest restaurants in Mordor.
Oh, man. They don't go for brunch. They go for 11s. I'll throw like a stick or like a pine cone or something like that in the area, get him to look that direction, and I'll come up behind him on the other side and just speak to him.
He about jumps out of his shoes when he realizes you come behind him, and he looks a little sheepish. He's rubbing the back of his head and he's smiling, looking down at his feet, and he's saying, "I didn't mean to startle you. I just saw you going out there. You said to everyone you wanted to get something larger to eat. We've been eating a lot of fish and berries, some roots that grow naturally, and we're planting gardens. We just don't have a lot in the way of big game. I'd love to learn what you're doing, how you do what you do. So I thought I'd follow you to see.
I mean, I was already impressed somewhat by your ability to keep pace with me as we're moving through here. I definitely would not mind the assistance at all. I'd love to show you the ropes, and fish is no way to eat every single meal.
He says, I'm Cert Hemlock Tapper.
Very nice to meet you, Cert. And I'm introduce myself. I'm Jakob Treadstone. You probably already know me, but let's
Yeah, you're kind of famous these parts.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah.
So he does say, I was moving up on you as quietly as I could to demonstrate my skills. And you're like, yeah.
I'm sure you believe that.
I know you stepped on every stick you could possibly find.
We'll have that lovely
But he's
little
willing.
fade to black moment as I'm pointing out, just saying, like, oh, well, you could have done this, and like talking, like, oh, if you put link down there, you could have maybe saw my tracks as I went around, looped back this way, and just kind of giving them a little bit of what to work off of before, transitions to the next scene where.
So over the course of the next day or two, as you and he are out now and you're still looking for larger game, you actually are able to have him go wide, up over a hill, around to the front, and move game toward you instead of just, potentially scaring the stuff back up again. So for the latter portion of this day and then for tomorrow, roll that survival again.
Gotcha. Do I get assistance because he's
Yeah, take assistance on that roll so he can.
like that first one. The second one is not better than the first one, so modify. Oh, unnatural 20. Caught myself.
That you do, and roll it to hit.
Ooh,
that you
yes.
see that there are mule deer ahead of you.
16.
16. Roll your damage.
Nice. Is it by any chance below its hit point maximum?
It is not.
Still good damage. 11 points of damage.
Yeah, you just killed a mule deer. Well done.
Nice.
And that's the biggest thing for him. So you going through the whole process of then field dressing the thing and what you do and things to save, and I would think you would know much, much more than even somebody that goes hunting, just hunting white-tailed deer, now, how to make use of probably about every single one of these organs that are in here too. So it isn't like you're just field dressing it, everything glishes out. You're bringing stuff back and you're dragging the thing back, carving it up
haggis.
and straight. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So you're probably imparting your knowledge about what you're doing with this just the whole time, and he's just gathering it in. He's just soaking all this information.
Yeah, because the only time they get mule deer is when they fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, or never. Their mule deer is just imagining what that would be like as they see them running away.
Yeah,
and then for the next day.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I was gonna say, can't imagine one mule deer would service the entirety. Of
No, you need a number of them.
Ooh, what am I doing first to hit her tracking?
Survival.
The survival check for that.
That's a 21.
Excellent. Yes, you're tracking. You're sending him wide.
To hit it. Ooh, 28. There we go.
Excellent. Damage.
Math is hard. Ooh, 7 points of damage.
All right, so we're just going to say you've been hitting this just so well that you've already had 2 and you've got to go back. You just couldn't did you bring a cart along for
set
all
up
the
a
mule
skid.
deer? It's going to be a lot
I
of
brought a
work
half-orc.
just dragging these things back. It's a big animal. It's a big deer. So by the time you get back to where the camp is the next day sometime, and you're talking to this guy about what you're wanting to do, he's amazed because the best he could possibly do, he was just carrying around a staff. And then on the second day, he took the dagger that he carried, which obviously is something they brought with them. It's like an imported item.
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of metallurgy. That he tied it with some rawhide and some cord he must have had. So it's a makeshift spear. He tried to throw it at one point, and it's just non-functional. But he's looking at that bow of yours, and he's like, "That'd be the thing."
Yeah, it was definitely one of the things that I wanted to do, which was teach some of the half-orcs how to not just use them, but also craft their own bows and arrows. Has anyone else, like it's been a couple days now or a few days now, has anyone else shown like a particular interest in coming to do this, or would I still kind of have to go and seek out that group that would start doing that?
Well, you've been away for most of these 2 days, so you haven't noticed anybody that way.
And I
But when
imagine
you
I'm
guys
bringing
come
in
back in with big game,
Yeah.
that when you come back with Search is nonstop talking. Everybody that's coming in, that you should have seen it, that Master Treadstone shot these things. He shot that arrow across that way.
I can get used to that.
And it was just amazing. And they're talking about their failed attempts to do that, and we've got to do this. So, no, there is easily, just within getting to the encampment area that you had said this is a good place to start, and everyone's starting to meet in that area, that there are more people. There's easily a half dozen, between a half dozen and a dozen people that are expressing tremendous interest in your bow and your arrow.
That's awesome. So I know we're still prepping
Hopefully not
for
in a
this.
larcenous way.
Yeah, we're still prepping for this this larger town meeting that we're going to be having. But I'd like to still, while they're here, and even though all they've gotten thus far is Cert praising me, I'd love to go out as we're still collecting. I don't know how many mule deer it's going to take to get enough food for this meal that we're trying to plan to go along with this meeting. But doing that kind of every day, the larger groups that we have, not too large of a group because we still want to remain slightly stealthy if we're trying to hunt, but maybe coming back with 2 of them in one day or something like that, and just using that time to build up stocks, having them seeing the abilities that I have, making sure the interest is still high, so that way when we do have the moment to where after we've had this meeting that we were able to establish them as a community, then I can start properly training them about using a bow, crafting a bow, arrows, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great. So as you're field dressing one of those mule deer, one of the other guys, probably Cert himself, is field dressing the other one as you've hung these things up. And
my name's Jacob Treadstone, and welcome to my masterclass.
That they're picking it up right away.
Awesome.
So they all want to step in. They're working on skinning it. They're obviously used to skinning smaller animals. They've done this kind of thing before, but all the particulars about it, everything that they're every bit of nuance, right down to probably for a lot of this, because the thing is still like 5 or 6 days away. You're probably actually like stripping the meat off the bone to jerk the meat. That is to dry it, and so all these process. Again, they're just eating it up, and yet easily there's 2 or 3 guys willing to go out with you the next day as you continue.
Nice.
So you're heading back out the next day, and there is Cert and 2 others that are going with you.
Awesome. Yeah. I want to get an idea for how much mule deer, how much food do I think we might need for this meet if we're trying to make sure everyone comes to this meeting and goes away fully full. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Great.
Well fed.
Well fed. There we go.
Right. So you're probably talking 5 or 6.
Okay.
A lot of meat, and that can be stretched if they're making like stews and whatnot, things like that.
Okay, awesome. So I do want to make sure, because now that I have this interest in people who are wanting to learn all this, I want to get all the food up front so that we can have that, and the cooks and everyone can start prepping that for the actual meal, and then I can spend some time with them going into more of the nuances of the arrow hunting. So going out again with this group, maybe we can come back with 2 today, and I think it would give us the...
Looking for anything apart from just the game at this point?
Yeah, go ahead and getting an idea of the like the lay of the land, trees specifically, ash trees, if they're in the area to make those arrows, or
Okay, great. So make consecutive rolls for your survival.
first one's 15 and 22.
So first of all, game is no problem here. Like every time you're rolling this thing up, it's well over the DC that you're always seeing game.
I think it might be really cool if there's like one particular special type of game, like something that they see in the area, but no one ever tries to take it down. Like they've had mule deer in the past, but something bigger than that.
Oh, we've seen these giant owls flying overhead.
But not that.
Yeah, I'd get old grumpy.
Yeah. If that's something that like that would just be kind of a nice centerpiece when they're coming in. They're just saying like, okay, yeah, these guys are legitimate. They took down a bear. Yeah, I guess is the
that they're talking about that maybe you could bring down a bear.
The only thing going through my head was like animals from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm like, he took down a turtle duck, which did not sound nearly as exciting as I was hoping it would.
Especially given the size of either turtles or ducks.
But you're easily able to harvest, let's say, 2 more just deer, white-tailed deer. But this place is replete with game.
Awesome.
That you've seen elk off in the distance, higher up into the elevations. And they talk about that there are bear in this area too. They also talk about that there's lizards, those great big lizards.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Go make your second set of consecutives right now.
All right, 23 and 15 again.
Oh, on the 23, as you're coming across tracks, you're following deer, and then in a muddy area, the deer tracks cross what looks like giant lizard tracks.
Oh boy. Okay. I'll ask them. Like they said that they've encountered these lizards. Like, you've seen them? Have you encountered them? Have you actually directly?
We tend to run of that on a few occasions. We're not very organized, so we might have lost people to them. But we generally try to get back to our cabins and stay sheltered. They're not breaking through the wooden cabins. But
Any idea where they nest or where you found them before? Like,
We found their nests, usually in the lowland, not too far from streams. And when we do, that's a feast day. It's eggs delight. There's usually a good dozen eggs in one clutch. So,
have you ever thought of maybe not?
what do you mean?
Those eggs, as you've seen those lizards are, at least from what we've been able to find through our journey thus far, could potentially be great work animals, or just like that of an ox or a donkey or whatever.
Well, they're really stunned by this. They're exchanging looks with each other. That obviously that had not occurred to them.
I
What's
probably
an
don't.
ox?
They're thinking like, man, we just know that it's like scrambled egg night.
Yeah.
You know, when
I
we get this
probably don't
thing.
have my pack on me with my actual map making supplies on it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
probably
I'd pull it out and show them like the schematics. It would just be pictures and stuff like that for what the saddles could look like. But give them the whole story and talking about how, like, from what we can tell about these ancient civilizations, is they were able to not just train these things, but not just not have to kill these things, but like train them to ride them, potentially work as work animals, and live alongside them to help even further make their society stronger and better.
Definitely planted the idea that they could do something apart from that you're implying than actually just having them hatch out these eggs and maybe just raising lizards.
Awesome.
They're going to domesticate giant lizards.
Hey, I was planning on doing it.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a heck of a thing. It's like somebody comes into this valley and there's these organized half-orcs doing their thing. Well, we're going to take them over. Oh, wait, look, their dogs are giant lizards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Well,
be a
we
thing.
know it's happened because, we saw evidence of it in the tunnel. So
This
we
is
know
true.
it can be done.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
what was your second roll in that last consecutive?
I think it was 15.
Yeah, it was a 23 and a
You
15.
do?
Yep.
You are noticing ashes. You're now looking for it, thinking, gosh, making arrows. I need ash wood. Anything else? There is a lot of ash wood. That's the perfect thing for making various tools, but definitely arrows as well.
Because, absolutely. Because, like, you could also use, that's a strong wood for just not just arrows, but just tools in general, just helping them
Yeah, any kind
advance.
of rake, a hoe, a shovel, anything.
Yeah, definitely. I'll point that out to him, and I don't think I have something that could fell a tree on me. I don't know. No, I don't actively carry it with me. Can we say that today, knowing that I was going to look for trees, maybe I grabbed one of those out of the, like maybe they had like a stone hatchet or something that could potentially fell a tree?
Let me roll it. As
when I
a
left this morning.
percentile.
Ropes and strong
do
backs.
you want high or do you want low? Pull the tree over.
I'll take low. I want low. Final answer.
You want hello?
Hello.
Oh, 0 4.
The last time you rolled percentage was a 4.
Last
So,
time.
look at these dice. They waited to roll a 0 4 every time.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Sweet, cool. Yeah. So I point out that tree. I show them the way of distinguishing this particular type of tree versus other ones around it, and then I'll go and try and, to the best of my efforts.
Yeah. So you got a smaller one.
Yeah.
So there's like shorter. Rather it's a thinner trunk and smaller sapling branches, whatnot.
Cool.
And you continue. So we're going to say over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, you will get all of the meat that you need for this, and you're also just scouting out where there are
Yes.
enough trees that are ash trees. If it sounds like you're going to try to initiate tool making, or
At least having that prepared
Arrows?
for, because I think that was something along the lines of what Boris wanted to go into. So this would
Yeah.
just be a useful. This would just help him in that. So knowing where the ash trees
Resources are
in the-
always good, yeah.
Yeah, so-
Did you want to look for yew trees for the bows
For
themselves?
the bows themselves, yeah, that might be worthwhile doing because we'll have to do that as well. But I also do want to do that encounter with a bear as well and see if I can't find one of those just as that lovely centerpiece to make everything even more terrifying.
okay. And so roll your
The
consecutives
man wants to
again.
one-off with a bear. I respect it.
Well, I have help, Tracking is 12. Or not tracking, but natural 20.
Right,
Nice.
So on that day, no particular game, but you do notice something else as you come across the edge of a hill, and that is that where the creek took a sharp bend and this hill is eroded, it is apparently a massive deposit of flint.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not what I was aiming for, but also very, very good. Hey, Toolsmith.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I'll take a small sample of it just to show as proof as I'm coming back, but remembering where the area is,
Right.
and then I'll
Yeah,
come
because that's
back.
great for arrowheads, too.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Well, and that as you're just looking at, scoping at this plate, scoping it, like you know what that is, scouting it, that you pick up a piece that would be with a little bit of shaping, decent axe size
And it doesn't happen to be being protected by a bear, does it?
No, it is not. So let's give 2 more days to see if that bear comes up.
17 and 24.
Okay, on the 24, you do find an area lowland along a creek where there are numerous yew trees.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you're
I was
doing
really
great
hoping the parodies said yew trees.
with material.
I thought he was going to go with lizards.
Oh, God.
And so then your last day, the consecutive, is the first one is the one you want to have as a very big number.
21 and 16.
The bear has made a no-show thus far, so you
darn.
can keep hunting that, but no, the bear's not there yet.
Well, I think I'm getting close to the end of my time before the meeting's supposed to happen. I feel like we've done almost 5 or 6 days at this point.
Right. Well, there's still about a week to the meeting itself.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
In the course of that next week, you know where there's yew, you know where there's ash, and you know there's flint. What do you want to?
So so I think we have a good bit of meat. I think we're kind of almost good in that area.
Yeah.
I'll make it more of just a side quest at this point. I'll continue going and just shifting to collecting materials like the flint and the ash and the yew trees to create tools for them, and then just kind of keeping an eye out as we're going, just like see, there's bear tracks. Those weren't there yesterday, and keeping that in the back of my head, but starting to shift over to just resource collecting mode to get trees, to get bows, to get handles for tools.
Okay, great. So give me 3 rolls, and these are just to see if you can encounter bear.
These are all survival again, right? Survival again?
Yes.
24, 11, natural 20.
Yes!
So you and Sir are out, and you do see up ahead there is what's an individual, like a rogue bear, probably a male, and it is on the ridge just around the corner from you.
Gotcha. In this time, has his tools, has his equipment probably, he had that first day where he came back and he had the better spear. As we've been collecting these ash
You've not
trees-
started making things yet.
Okay, so he's got nothing better than that, so I'll try and keep him a little closer, because I don't think he'll be able to scare the bear to run towards me. If he's over by himself flanking it, it's just going to go for him.
Yeah. Who
So,
saw the Revenant?
Yeah,
But
right.
It's not a grizzly bear. It's not a brown bear. It's a black bear.
Gotcha, okay. I don't know what that means. David doesn't.
It's a smaller bear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, although black bears can get pretty big too.
Yeah, black
Gotcha.
bears are more manageable. You'll find them in Appalachia and Georgia. The scientific name for brown bears and grizzly bears is literally translates to horrible bear. And they will screw up just about anything that gets near them.
And just so you know, too, that allegedly people say you're attacked by a brown bear, that you want to protect your neck but lay face down and play dead, and they'll maybe knock you around, but if your hand's protecting your neck, might save yourself from getting bit in the back of the neck, but they might scrap stuff onto you to bury you, like treat like you come back for later. Do that with a black bear, and it will kill you.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll just
When
bite
you
you.
encounter a bear and it is coming at you, punch it in the nose and die like a man.
Today I learned. I will track it for just a split second to make sure it's not like young or it doesn't have anyone else around it, just to make sure that it is a one-on-one kind of a
So
situation.
it's a lone thing, yeah.
Yeah. 8
On your track,
on my tracking while watching.
you've actually, whatever, the scent, given it away, it's aware of you.
No, great.
So in the next moment, it's going to be either bolting or attacking.
Yeah.
So let's roll in its to see just what's happening with that.
I have rolled 3 of those today.
Nice!
And I'm at 14.
I'm at 25.
Woo! Yeah. So it's contemplating something, but the synapses haven't even fired to give that impulse down to the muscle yet.
Just
what
for
are you
fun.
doing?
I'm marking it as my quarry with a bonus action, Hunter's Mark, firing at it for a 23 to hit.
Oh, yeah, hits.
That does a 11 points of damage.
It is very, very wounded, but it is not dead.
Okay.
And now it is turning to move away. It's getting out. It's not going to even try to get into this fight. So roll your survival to make sure you can get you can keep it in sight or in range.
19 survival.
Oh, you're able to. So if you're like sprinting up on the thing,
Oh yeah, running up,
bow and
keeping
arrow, you find a spot
it
and you
within range,
take
firing
your
at it
next
again.
shot.
Oh no!
What'd you roll?
A natural 1.
Okay, yeah, a real miss. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you fired a warning shot well over its head. It didn't seem to respect that.
Yeah.
After already shooting it in the back, like, hey, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, right.
Nailed a squirrel way down the cliff, but not your intended target.
Go ahead and roll the survival check again. You can keep up with it.
21.
Okay, that's actually a 19 now because of the terrain. But go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
You are.
Oh, we've left the forested areas.
No, it's just that where it is on the edge of the hillside,
Gotcha.
it has a lot more cover.
Firing at it one more time. Oh, that's much better. 27.
Definitely hits.
Cool. It's now below its hit point maximum, isn't it?
It is below its hit point maximum.
Oh, stay on the table. That was a 5. It was not anymore. 10, 15 points of damage.
And you killed it.
Yes.
Jacob killed a bear.
I'm Master Treadstone. Hear me roar!
Yeah, and so now then you point to like Cert and the other guys. Okay, drag it back.
Right?
Yeah, it's
And thank you for coming to my Tread Talk.
yeah, it's a good sized male. The thing's somewhere around like 300 pounds.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So I've taken down. No, maybe I've taken down a bear back in Gryan. Maybe with the help of some of the other hunters.
Yes.
So yeah, I would know what to do in the situation for how to field dress if it's any different than the regular animal.
Yeah,
But,
so the big thing's be the hide. You're going to have a very, very heavy
yeah.
hide with this thing, and you probably actually cut it into parts.
Good for making armor and shields.
Pack it, and you would carry it back and not try to drag it back
So-
with the four of you.
And doing just that, making it back to the what do we call it in the community?
Pre-settlement.
Making it back to the pre-settlement.
All right, so it'll be like tomorrow before you're back.
Pavilion. That's the term.
Pavilion.
Yeah,
There we
he
go,
did
yeah.
start with the P. All right, so anything else you want to say that he's doing, or are you in pretty good shape?
I do want to start taking those trees and resources that we were collecting to start crafting bows and arrows, as well as sharing with Boris, of course, about the flint deposit that I found.
Yeah, that's
for
real nice.
arrowheads, and as well as tools.
Yeah, scrapers, axes, anything.
Exactly. So then, like, kind of giving that option for.
So the majority of this next week is going to be training. You're
Yeah.
training them to make these bows and arrows.
Love that.
Yeah, and they are so into it. When they've seen what you've done, and now you bring, the four of you come into camp with a bear. It's obviously cut up. You still have the hide. It's like celebration day right now.
Nice.
Yeah, very well done.
That was fun.
Get
Cool.
them to make the skull into a helm for you.
I thought about coming into camp with the. Kind of like the bears,
the
you picture the
cloak,
bearskin
yeah.
rug kind of a thing, just like wearing it. It's just like, yeah.
Very Viking.
They were was like popping you with their quarterstaffs.
I get confused, smite you, lose my paladin abilities.
All right, so Jacob's been doing his thing in that same time period, that roughly a week while he's been hunting and gathering material. Boris, what have you been doing during that time?
Would you describe the lay of the land for this meeting space pavilion-y area?
Yeah, that picture capital Y.
Mm-hmm.
There is a high ground in the middle of that Y. The Y itself is a stream,
Right.
and I would say it is between about 15 feet and about 18 feet. So it's almost a river, but not quite.
Okay.
On
Big
both
creek.
sides of that Y. Very big creek, yeah. And at this point, the branches to the creek run fairly straight. On the lower side, that is outside the Y, it's fairly level ground, and it's a fairly large area, whether it's been cleared by someone or it's just natural that way. But then on the other side of the Y, it gets steep and goes right up onto this hill that's not flat on top. It's at an angle, but it's definitely a place you could build a cabin or cabins on and have a very protected spot because you're in that V upper part of that Y.
Well, it sounds to me like this would be a great spot to actually build the settlement proper.
Oh, okay.
So I think then what I'd be working on is kind of initiating that process.
All right.
Meeting up with, the more construction inclined members of this community that
Okay.
have gathered at least, and
Yeah.
Adding more as people gather. And I think first step would be building a bridge across the stream from like the lowland side to that defensible hillock.
Okay. And in this lowland area, there are all along the stretches of this creek, just about 200 feet, maybe 1,000 feet, somewhere in that range, that it's a lot of pine wood down in, down in the creek valley. So there's a lot of potential for easy and manageable building materials too in this area.
Yeah. Burning things to make, ash and lye and concrete, and then
Were you thinking about as sturdy as a palisade of some sort?
eventually, but step one's the bridge so we can get back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd want to use a lot of what's available, so a lot of river stone and sand as a major portion.
All right.
I don't picture actually fully damming it because that'd be a lot more of a different kind of endeavor.
It'd probably flood this whole area down
Exactly,
here, too.
yeah.
You want me to thunderwave it?
Tempting, but no. That'd probably just create a pond, which may be good later, but...
So a bridge wide enough for people, for horses, for carts?
I'm gonna go
Heavy
with-
enough for horses? Even though there's no horses around, but...
Sure, yeah, but thinking long term, I'd want to be able to do a cart across, a fair-sized wagon. That if I can get something that wide and that sturdy, kind of directing and assisting them, yeah, by all means.
Okay, great. So we're probably talking a structure that's going to be somewhere around 20 to 25 feet long, about 8 feet wide.
Right, yeah.
And made out of like rough timbers for the most part. Okay, great. Yeah, that's
some
that's
river
quite
stone
the
and sand and things.
excavation, sure.
Yeah. So it'll probably widen and deepen the river a fair chunk.
So I think just your knowledge of construction, you've had things you've seen from the Confederation of Duchies. That's probably going to be a straight intelligence roll for you to make when it comes to positioning, setting, leveling, things like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at skills, and there's nothing really that lends itself well to
Yeah, so
construction.
specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I remember in 3.5 there is actually an architecture and engineering. So I'll go ahead with that straight intelligence.
Perfect.
Am I getting advantage at all from the folk here who have already been building structures? Not quite this sort of a structure, but they have built cabins and things.
Well, they do have some. They've developed an eye for cutting down trees and leveling off logs and arranging and amassing logs, putting them on a stone foundation. So I'd say yes.
Okay. I've got a +2, so I want as many pennies as I can. Okay, and going with that second one with a 17.
Right. So you're laying it out with them, and you are approached by, where'd my notes go? You're approached by a particular half-orc who identifies himself as Sarkum. And as you start to pace things off, he comes up and asks you, says, well, what are you doing with all this pacing off of stuff?
And I explained to him that, I'm measuring what I'll need. I'll need a timber of this length to reach here, support structures like this, stones of this size to wedge.
Do you know you can just walk across that and get to the far bank? You're just getting your feet wet. They'll dry.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about them normally, but let's think about the long term, that we want to make this a settlement. We want to make this a place where people can gather and be safe. The best way to do that, especially if you are being attacked by something and you need to move people across quickly, is a bridge. Anybody trips in this as everyone's running across to a fortification, suddenly the whole retreat's compromised. Or, in a more happy circumstance, trade caravans are moving through, that you've got a marketplace on the other side within the fortifications of the palisade. You'd want to get that cart across so they can haul their wares.
I never thought about it like that, which I guess would be the whole point to what's happening.
Yeah, if you've never seen a cart, you don't think about carts.
Yeah, and he said, well, could I help you?
Of course. I'd be glad to have assistance.
He said, I'm Sarkum Bear Hunter.
Oops. Boris Kirsonov.
And as you're measuring this, he's walking with a staff, so he starts scratching lines on the ground, as I'm sure you're doing the same,
Right.
working it out. And you guys spend the rest of the day and probably all of the next day just talking about where things would go, what kind of pilings, what kind of stone. And as you're doing that, more people that are gathering for this thing that just seem to want something to do. They're a very industrious group.
Good on them for it.
There's more people coming around who want to help to do whatever this is. And then when it comes to, okay, we need trees like this size, this shape, people are going out to get those without you scouting them or waiting for Jakob to come back to scout out the right kind of a tree. But that would easily, for the course of this week, that could consume all of your time for this next week just to set these things up.
Yeah, definitely. Something I'd want, I'd be thinking about and I'd want Sarkum to be thinking about is a militia. That Sarkum, once we have the settlement established, we're going to need people who have not only the equipment but the skill to protect it. While people are gathering, be my eyes and ears. Look for strong men and women who you think could be trained to fight and protect the settlement.
Now, you're not talking about making an army. I mean,
no.
So they're still going to be running their own individual holds, their individual farms, but they're doing this too.
Yeah, that if lizards or bugbears or whatever come through, that you've got people who can fight and fight as a group. So they've got tactical strength and are able to wield weaponry and move as a unit.
All right, Boris, I'll look for you. I'll talk to people as we're doing this, and as more come in, because more are coming in
Constantly
throughout the course of the day and each day, and they'll definitely do that. So you are in no way in short supply for a workforce.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead and roll your diplomacy for me.
Okay. Do you mean persuasion?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I do mean your persuasion.
That's one of the good ones.
Intimidate
But
the
it
dirt.
doesn't matter if my roll sucks. 9.
Okay, then you try it again the next day.
All right. That's better. 16.
So even by the next day, the second day, Sarkum comes up to you as you're working on something and you're positioning things, and he sends a crew out to go and fell a couple of trees for some of the original or the lower beams for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He says that group that's running off right there, right now, going off together, the whole group of them, all 4 of them, are very interested in this very thing you're talking about.
Good.
I would suggest that at the end of the day, when we're done working, if there is some sort of something basic, a stance or a drill that you could walk them through, why not start now?
Agreed, yeah. So in kind of a lull with what we're working on, I'm going to find wooden rods about the length of like a sword or an axe haft. Doesn't need to be, fancy or proper, just
Okay.
training sticks.
Sure, you certainly could.
So I'll use those to start walking through that when the, I guess 6 of us are gathered, the 4 of them, Sarkum and I, I'll use those sticks to kind of walk them through various martial stances.
Okay, good. And they're very, very into it. They make mistakes moment to moment.
Oh, of course.
But they're very into the idea, and they start to get into that when they're all moving it the exact same way.
Right.
Turning that way, that there's something, in the unity of that, that they're finding very exciting. By the 3rd or the 4th day, if you're working on the bridge and then working on these drills at night, and more added to it, that very quickly you have a good 8 people that are working with you through these drills.
Yeah, as numbers grow, I just want them to, find their own, practice stick, so I don't have to keep going out and looking for them.
Well, by that time, Jacob's coming back, and he's starting to make like caches of various kinds of trees, various kinds of plants, and he's bringing back a number of pieces of ash wood.
And I imagine I probably would have, at least during one of these days, talked to him about
Sure,
what I was
yeah.
bringing in, and knowing that he's probably the more inclined about.
Have you found the flint yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
This is day 3. I think Flint was like day 7.
Yeah, right.
So you can easily take some of those things, cut them to length, whatnot, and it isn't like it's a temporary something. They're pretty serviceable.
Yeah, they're probably going to be the thing.
Yeah. And so you continue with that. And again, that'll easily take more than just this week. By the end of the week, there is a dozen people that are in the
Nice, yeah.
end
Building a
of the
proper
day,
militia.
training. Yeah, it's they're also motivated toward this. Anything else you want to set up in this initial week?
Just that when we do know about the flint that Jacob found, that we'd be taking some and working on it to make, well, I guess axes would be what we're training with right now. So, yeah, axe heads for these hafts.
Okay, so that would be at the very, very end of that week.
Right, yeah.
Right at the end, so that'll be a thing more into the next week, probably once the town hall meeting actually happens. But you are set up for just that thing. And between you and Jacob, your skill sets, because he has all kinds of sinew when it comes to wrapping an axe set onto an ash haft, you could definitely work that out, how to do that.
Split and wedge, yeah.
All right, great. Zelen, what are you working on during this time that Boris is making a bridge and starting training, and Jacob is hunting and getting all the material for bows and arrows and other kinds of tools?
So I had committed to working on finding herbs and things that could make the food we're preparing tastier. So I'm going to head out in the surrounding area with anybody who wants to come with me to help them identify anything they have not already identified. I can cast detect poison and disease and purify food and drink as rituals. So I can go through and just check all these plants and say, yes, if you don't already know, this is useful. Let's taste it. and see what it tastes like if we want to use it.
If you get sick, I can heal that.
Well, no, because I've already detected poison and disease, so I know they're not going to get sick. It just might not taste good.
Well, and it's reasonable that you would know a lot of these plants just anyway
Sure.
without even rolling something like that.
Your spell only works for human though, and it's actually poisonous to half-orcs.
Whoops,
bad.
half of you is fine.
5 points of lay on hands, I can cure a poison, so we're good.
3 of you are fine.
and by the end of the first day, the very
4,
concept,
thank you.
the very concept of that has caught on. That it's making the food better right now because they don't have to worry about what that plant is or when you use this plant. And a lot of what you're bringing into it is really just your own experience, making your own food for an awful lot of your life, with you and your grandmother. So you're just bringing that into it. You know the area, you know what a lot of the plants are, but you are picking out more and more of those plants. Go ahead and roll it as a nature check, survival check.
Can I interject with a thought I had?
Yeah, sure.
How are they reacting to magic if you are doing the casting of know whether or not poison?
They're familiar with it. That wherever they came from, it was certainly done. And so they don't seem to be like taken aback or startled by it, but they're also in the same way like appreciative, not in awe, but like, wow, yeah, that's cool. That's a cool set of tools.
All right, yeah.
10. I rolled a 10. You told me to roll something.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Nature.
Yeah, that's great, hon. I'm so glad
You told me to.
that as you're looking through, or you're identifying different plants, you do find some that you don't know. That was just a check to see like how far you'd have to go to find things you're not familiar with. But as you're doing so, it's great for you because you're adding to your own knowledge of more plants. Like, oh gosh, this is another thing that would do to make a poultice, something to do if you have an upset stomach, something to do for an infection. So you're adding to your own knowledge base right now as well, and you're adding more and more plants to it. There's a particular half-orc. Her name is Corin, and she's been spending a lot of her time with you, helping to find these plants, try to catalog them, looking at it, and she almost repeats it to herself again. The leaf is shaped like this, the stem is like that, and she's going through just a little to try to attach it to some like knowledge memories that she already has to put all that together. And she's helping you with that. It's also nice to have somebody else to talk to about what these plants are and things are. You don't have quite the same following that comes around with you as it is with the hunter or the builder. That it's a quieter, a slower, a little more methodical task you're going through. And there are fewer people that are doing that. And it splits off. Corin isn't always there. It's other half-orcs as well. But it's for the most part, it's been Corin. And during that time, go ahead and make a perception roll.
8. Oh, wait a minute. 8.
It's still 8. There's something about a number of these people, men and women, that are going with you on different days to look for different plants. But whatever it was, you don't recall what the similarity was. On a following day, go ahead and roll again as you're around these people
18.
more and more. And you realize you notice it. You thought for a moment that, am I remembering the same thing from one of them? And then you realize it's been on different people, that a number of them are wearing bracelets that are made out of little fragments of stone. And the stone in itself, go ahead and make your nature check.
Also 18.
It's a lot of the same kind of fragments of stone that you've seen looking through these old ruins and stuff that was associated with old Bravas. The same types of stone.
Corin, I noticed that many of the people here wear these stone bracelets. Tell me about that. Where does that come from?
And many have been like misleading on my part. There are people that do. But among the people that have been following you around, it seems like there is more of them that do. But in the population in general, it's fairly rare, who has one of these things on. And she just holds up her wrist and she just looks at the bracelet and says, oh, this was handed down. It was my mother's, it was my grandmother's, and I think before that it was my great-grandfather's. We're going back into what might even be just the human or just the orc side of my family and tradition. I honestly don't even know. But it's one of those things that they say has just been handed down through the family itself.
How did they decide in your family? How did they decide who gets the bracelet?
Oh, I think it's like, mom or dad have their favorites. That there's nothing more specific than just that they think that it should go to that one. I can't think why my mother would have, why she gave it to me and not my brother or my sister. But I'm the one that has it.
Okay. So So, Corn, I have the ability to understand if something might contain magic. Would you be willing to let me check your bracelet? And do you think some of the other people who have been with us on our gathering trips would be willing to let me check their bracelets?
She seems a little startled by that. Like, you're saying I could be holding a magical thing all this time, and I don't really know as to why.
In our travels, we've encountered many, many different types of stone. And in different places, it contained magic. There were properties, there were elements, there were things, special things that it could do. And I'd like to check to see if your bracelets had that.
I don't mind at all. I doubt others would either. Sure, like tomorrow, tell people and those that come by.
That would be great.
The next day, she gathers,
Yes.
a number of people together.
So
and
here's
it's most of everyone that has been off and on working with you. So it's 6-8 people.
So here's my goal. I don't want to freak them out because she seemed a little surprised, at least possibly startled, when
Okay.
she said I might be wearing magic and not know about it. But I'd like to get an understanding. Do any of them have any innate abilities?
Okay.
So as I perform my ritual, I'm going to involve them in the ritual. I'm going to teach them some basic chants and some basic rhythms so they can participate in it, with the idea I can try to tell if any of them maybe pick it up a little bit more quickly, maybe
Okay.
add an enhancement that I would recognize and they do almost instinctively.
Okay. Well, initially, without even rolling anything, just like a perception, they all look comfortable and relaxed. No one looks uncomfortable as they're meeting, like they, ready to get rid of their heirloom bracelet or getting ready to bolt. So just first read, they seem comfortable being just here right now. So what is it you want to initiate? How do you want to initiate it?
So speaking to the group,
Mhm.
as a group, I'm going to teach you a chant that then you will repeat. While we're doing that, we're going to keep a basic rhythm. I'm going to teach you that rhythm as well. While you keep that chant in the background, I'm going to be casting some additional ritual so that I can understand powers that might be contained within your bracelets.
Okay, so are you actually giving them like the verbal component of one of your spells? Which one of your spells are you having them do? Just pick one so I know.
I'm going to teach them healing word.
Okay.
that
Produce
seems pretty-
flame.
Healing word seems like a nice decision, though.
Yeah, right.
We
A
all
nice
feel
utility
better.
spell. Don't accidentally blow up the place.
That sounds good. So you start walking them through that, and let's roll that as a wisdom, and whatever modifiers you have to that, your proficiency, add those numbers to it as well.
So that would be a 23.
Holy smokes. You're going through this very, very well, and it makes an awful lot of sense. And some people are just kind of like, it's like they're like learning how to dance. It's like they're just know how to step and how to move. And a couple of them are moving very, very well. Corin, as you get to the end of that particular, the actual movements that you're doing, by the end of it, you would actually suspect she might have actually cast it.
Okay.
Like
Okay, good.
Just outright. That everything kind of hit like, yeah, that's how that works. And there is other ones whose names you would have heard. One's name is Hype Cedar Former, and the other one is Boaz Eaglefeller. And the two of them also, they go through this very, very well. Like they're following your druid spell like it's natural. Thanks.
Boo. Eagle Feller was my favorite name so far, by the way.
Yeah, right. Though I'm pretty fond of Bear Hunter. You might have to wrestle him for that one.
Well, it wasn't. Notice it wasn't Bear Killer. It was
You're
just
right.
Bear Hunter.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Guy would track critter.
Shots fired, but not by him.
You realize he has a piece of charcoal and a piece of like very pale hide. He goes out and sketches them. He's like, you come back, you kill them, you barbarian.
They're edible.
A sniper and a photographer at a bar talking about taking the perfect shot.
Okay, so I'm not going to say anything to the whole group. I'm going to maybe tell them about their bracelets if any seem to me to have some latent magic or some magic residue on them.
Okay.
But I'm not going to talk to the whole group. But maybe the next day, I will seek out those three.
Okay.
So bringing those three together, Hype, Boaz, and Corin. In my tradition, as a druid, we have circles. And those circles support each other. They help each other learn. They help magnify each other's powers. The three of you already have, as just part of yourself, abilities along the druidic line. Would you like to form a circle here that then would help your community and also connect you with communities all over our world?
They exchange looks at each other, and it's almost like laughter. The kind of I'm awkward. I feel out of control a little bit emotionally. What's happening? That they didn't expect this as being part of what's happening right now. And Boaz turns to Corin and says, well, it sort of makes sense. You've always had the nicest garden. You always produce the most vegetables. And then the three of them lapse into how every one of the other one was better at some aspect of doing something that involved nature. And they never gave it a thought. And then when that calms down and they're thinking about it, Corin, speaking for the other three, says, we would be interested. That it seems like the natural and correct thing to do.
So as they're talking and exchanging, I'm laughing too and going, yes, those are all druidic skills. All the things you're talking about that you're good at, there's a reason why you're good at. And through this circle, we can enhance that and build it.
And could others join us as well?
Yes, people who have the gift could join. The things that we will practice and learn are things that that the knowledge has to be contained. They're not things that you can share with the community at large, but that people who have shown the skills and also show the respect towards nature, show the respect towards what we're doing, yes, they can also join.
But you're not going to form that druid circle that has a big neon sign like a Dunkin' Donuts on the corner.
Druid circle here.
Call back to episode whatever that was.
Yeah.
3, the last time we did this. What's cracking me up is we barely have a society and we've already got a secret society.
By the way,
That's
fast.
how it works.
if
Right?
you were wondering what my shitty grin was about, was as soon as she said that we do this thing where I give them like a call and response kind of thing, my head went back to every single retreat that we've ever had with the youth. And one of the things we do whenever we're around the campfire singing songs is you start by saying, "This is a repeat after me song," and 50 voices screaming back, "This is a repeat after me song." So that's what I pictured you in this druid
I didn't
circle.
envision it quite that way.
Different kind of druid vibe.
Every third word is Jesus.
Another point, Zelen, for you to note that when you're going through that ritual, kind of walk them through it, that there were a couple of people that, as they're going through it, you were getting as though they were pulling like energy right up out of the ground. They had no particular aptitude when it came to
spell.
the druid aspect of it. But it does seem as though there are other people who have like a raw connection, almost like a sorceress connection to the ground itself.
Do I know their names? Do I remember their names that I could suggest to Hype and Boaz and Corin that those would be great people to consider inviting into the circle?
That you could easily point them out and say, who is that? Yeah, but one of them is Sarkle Willow Burner. And,
Hey.
Yeah. And the other one is Cocord Wolf Striker.
Concord?
Yeah.
Kakor.
Wow. That was the ranger practicing his animals.
I should have put Matt on the spot too. I should have asked for the names of all the orcs that came with me, but I just have certain.
Judging by the list, I don't think he'd be
I think
on
he's
the
ready.
spot.
I think he's ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to.
So my concentration, my focus is helping them, teaching them the things that I think are going to be easiest for them to learn. And I'm also going to send a message to the closest druid circle that I know of, which is the one in whatchamacplace?
Worland.
Worland. So
You know the big
You got
town.
the "wa" at the beginning of it.
So I'm going to send a message back to Worland so I can connect these two circles.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Make a Venn diagram.
And
No, an
the-
oval.
the initiating of that training, in your own assessment, that almost immediately you would really put, to put it in like a gaming term, that Hype, Boaz, and Corin would be first level druids. Just that they didn't know it. It's like that moment you're creating a character.
They just didn't know how to prepare spells.
Yeah, they just didn't know that. Yeah, there was a thing to do with the stuff that they can do.
Nice.
So in essence, those 3 are first level druids right now.
Which is excellent because I could teach them how to speak with animals so they could stay in touch with me. I could also teach them some healing, some just ways to help them better use the area. Maybe even teach them the entangle spell. So, or the fairy fire spell, maybe both. So they can then help as part of the defensive force that Jakob and Boris are building.
Okay, so
That'd be great.
Why don't you pick one?
Oh, and shillelagh. I can
And
teach them shillelagh.
Why don't you pick
keep 'em
one?
off the
So
front line.
for this week, why don't you pick one that you're working on that one spell
Choices.
with this group of 3 for the week?
Healing
I
word.
think we're going to teach them fairy fire
Never mind.
as the first one.
Yeah,
because
honestly, fair.
that's
Yeah.
a great one for them to be able to mark foes.
Lots of advantage.
Yeah, lots of advantage.
Yeah,
All right,
lots
so
of advantage.
great. So that's definitely
Which I'm going to teach them as it's fairy fire spell, but I'm going to call it Lasdun's Light because I know that Boris also has in the back of his
Start
mind that
spreading the religion.
exactly that he would like to create an Uka's church. So it then
so you're suddenly you're all missionaries and you're
well, I
proselytizing.
mean, but it introduces
I'm a paladin. That's a class feature.
it introduces the concept of that will support Boris.
Well, and if that's how you know it, then that's
Right.
the way you know it, just any old way.
Aslan's Light, Black Widow's Block, Arngol's Alliteration.
All right, so I need to roll an encounter for the week just to see if anything does come in during this time period when all
You
these
mean
things
aside
are
from
happening.
from all the mule deer and the bear?
Right, those are like side things.
If there are
all just-
encounters,
unto
there's
themselves.
zombies, and I would appreciate not that.
True.
Right. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, and that's actually one of the numbers right there.
What?
That while you are like working in the like at a certain point, Jacob, you are back near where the what did you call it, Boris? The area you guys are doing the construction right now?
Well, pavilion.
Pavilion. Yeah. So you're at the pavilion.
Mott and Bailey in a little bit.
Yeah, soon. It's there's the bridge is they're excavating the site. They're working out. They're cutting timber. So you can see that construction's happening. Jacob, you're bringing stuff back. Zelen, you are in the lowlands along the streams with these men and women just all day as you're working out all the things that you're doing right now, and you're in relative proximity. It's probably close to a mealtime. People tend to gather around, and that pavilion has become more of a hub. Now there's easily 60 or so people in this area right now, just milling about, doing their own thing, and helping where they can. And others are actually working on making not permanent structures, but a little more substantial than just camping out on the ground. So it's becoming its own little town. And lurching up out of one of these streams and rushing forward is one of the giant lizards.
Oh.
Dang.
Oh, let's go.
All right.
Everybody roll your nits.
Ooh. Going first.
All right.
Not going first.
I realize I need to stop going first. I do better when I hit something second.
That's right. You always say, are they below their hit points? Did they trip on a rock as they crawled from the stream?
Did it scratch
Well,
its
you can just hold action
claw?
until somebody else hits them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a good point.
All right, so who's at the top? So Jacob said you're first. Where are you?
24.
Oh, yeah, the very first.
Okay, and Boris, where are you?
14.
And Zelen?
4.
Are we all exactly 10 apart?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
14-4, yeah.
That's wild.
Which means that the lizard must have gotten a -4
Or a 34?
or 34.
Let's go with a 34. I like that one the best. Actually, it's going between Boris and Zelen.
Actually, -6, I think, would have been 10 below, and I just screwed up my math.
Yeah, right.
Was it your major in college?
No.
Then don't worry about it.
All right.
All right, so top of the round, Jacob, let me just roll to see distance you are away from it. You are about 75 feet away from where this thing is, where you first see it as it comes rushing up. And the reaction, people that are in that area, half-orcs mostly, and we'll see just where the other two are at the moment, there's just screaming and people rushing from that area as fast as they can.
Gotcha.
Jacob.
I'm just because holding around doesn't seem like the smartest idea, I am just going to bonus action, mark it as my quarry, and then take a shot at it. Take a shot at it with one of my owl-fletched arrows.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll probably hit. 26.
Yeah, it definitely hits.
Gotcha. That's the wrong for 12 points of damage.
Nice. It is definitely wounded. It takes that. And I'm sure they're amongst their terror right now. They're also very aware. We need, I'm glad he's making them a lot more of those hitty things. Yeah. Because there are some who are trying to hold what's not even a line yet, but trying to hold their position. But they're looking at like smacking it with a stick. They're not feeling very capable. Boris, you're up.
Now, first things first, I have a question that I don't want to ask, but feel like I should.
Okay.
Am I in my armor?
That's a very good question.
That's a very good question.
So
High or low?
I want to roll per a percentile. Do you want high? Do you want low?
Ooh.
It's gonna be a 4. It's gonna be a 4.
Because there's a chance you're in your armor right now because you were doing
I'm
something
drilling,
involving training. Yeah, and you wanna.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with low.
All right.
Bank on that 4.
Yeah, that 04 here. And it is
Still low.
Yeah,
23 works?
My point was a 25, and I just rolled a 23. So
Nice.
yes, you happen to be in armor.
Nice, yeah. Is it within 30 feet of me?
And I'm rolling that too. That it's a 29 feet away.
Perfect.
How did you make that happen? Right.
Uko's light.
Yeah, so
By his grace and glory, I
say
can
Hugo's
smack.
light. You do get advantage on the attack against him.
All right, yeah. So I am going to cast as my bonus action. Why not? Wrathful. Divine favor. Let's go with
Divine
radiant
favor.
damage.
Got it.
Yeah. Then move to engage and attack.
All right. Yeah, you've remove action, you're within it, and twist it up.
Okay, that is a 15.
And that hits its armor class.
Nice.
Its natural armor class, its armor class is a 14.
Sweet.
Dang. All right.
I will spend a second spell slot and Divine Smite it, just to be thorough.
Good.
You didn't want to do anything, right?
I'm good.
Okay, so that is 14 physical and 10 radiant
Wow.
for a total of 24.
Got it. It is definitely still combative. It is not like at the end of its rope where it's like settling down and going to die. It still wants to eat
Thought
things.
it was going to be a
Yeah.
cakewalk.
Do you guys both have spells that have already put an advantage on it for you each?
The arrow just did that one advantage.
Okay, all right.
Neat.
Then I'm going to cast Fairy Fire.
Let's see if I got a crit. I forgot about
yeah.
If you couldn't tell, ladies and gentlemen, that was a natural 20.
For another 2 points.
Even so. That's incredible.
All that for 2 points of damage.
But that was just that he rolled it. That was so cool.
Yeah, let's see if I got a crit.
All right, so it's round. And so Boris is right up there. Let me see how many of the half-orcs are still in proximity to it.
With that smack, would it pay attention to anything other than me?
Potentially, yeah.
The other
just
guy
wanna
that
kill
shot
some
him.
half-orcs.
You might have been like, you're the thing that a thing turns away from and tries to get easier at Corey. But I just rolled it, and it is attacking you.
Good.
Good.
Come at me.
I don't want to lose any of my militia.
Armor class.
That's true.
18.
Okay, coming at you. And I roll a... Dang, I rolled a 16.
Nice.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good roll. All right, it misses you on its attack.
So I want to cast Fairy Fire.
Oh,
but
wait, I have to review my monster. The lizard makes 2 attacks, one with its bite, one with its tail. One attack can be replaced by a swallow. So I still get the tail attack on you as well.
All right. Armor class is still
He moved
18.
into melee with
Yeah.
it, so it still gets a full round.
And I miss completely. Yeah, with
Did it drop its tail?
It did. I rolled a natural one. Its tail was at +7 to hit, so +7 to hit. So no, I rolled an 8.
so how close are you to it at this point?
Next square over is right next to it.
Yeah.
So if I cast Fairy Fire, it affects objects within a 20-foot cube.
Yeah, you're gonna want to put the center point of that. You're gonna want to put it on
Okay.
past it so
Okay,
that
good. So
it's
you're not
the
in it.
extreme of that. Yeah.
And just so you know, Zelen, all of you, that this one isn't one of the moderate-sized ones. This one is equally as big as the one that was trying to eat the Bugbear chief.
Oh.
Crap, why didn't we dig a pit? What were we thinking?
Yeah, right. Shouldn't that be step 1 in this kind of
I
area?
mean, these are the same size as the ones we fought in the trenches.
This
No,
is bigger.
Bigger.
These are bigger ones.
Yeah, this
from
is the
trenches.
biggest variety.
All right.
The swallow you
Okay.
whole kind.
Oh yeah, this is the one that outsmarted our trench.
Yeah, like that.
Laston's light.
Okay. And
So now everybody has an advantage to hit it.
I say,
And it's glowing.
I get a save on that though, don't I?
Yeah,
Dexterity.
Okay, coming up.
very dexterous lizard.
And I'm at -1 for that. That sounds terrible. And rolled a 3.
Okay.
So it is illuminated,
'Kay.
and everyone has advantage on the
Nice.
next. Their next. How long does it last?
Till I tell it not to. No, concentration.
Okay.
You were so confident with that.
Till I say so.
Top of the
Oh,
round,
it's
Jacob.
concentration and up to 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that's going to be 10 melee rounds.
And you just can't cast any other spells that have a concentration.
Okay.
Gotcha. So switching back to my regular arrows since I don't need that additional 1+ to hit anymore.
All right.
Taking a stay on the table.
Oh, that was a natural 20.
of them this
Awesome.
That's my favorite.
Roll
die.
again, see if I do it again. No.
Does it crit?
Get a double crit.
I get to roll 4 dice.
Wow.
I need to borrow a
Woo,
D8.
do it, do it,
Can I-
do it, do
can I
it,
borrow
do
a
it.
D8? Thank you,
All
Connie.
right. Ooh, big looking damage. Okay, math, David.
28 points of damage.
Okay, look at my note on the side right here. It was down
Oh
to
my gosh.
this thing started at 66 points of damage, took 12, took 14, took 10, took 2, took it to 28 hit points, and Jacob shoots an arrow at it, 28.
You've been promoted from bear killer to lizard killer.
This thing goes down. Yeah.
And tonight we feast.
That is
Right.
that is a 7d12 monster. And you guys
yeah.
took that down in 2 melee rounds. Mighty
Right
impressive.
on.
Oh my gosh, that was so great.
Yeah, and there is just
4 crits.
4 crits. There's a roar and a cheer that goes up. That was impressive. If you guys needed to solidify, you see, the way we do things is really good. You should listen to us. If it wasn't solidified with the bear before, we're making a new druid circle, and you know what? We're actually building a fortification. That the death of
Oh,
this lizard,
yeah.
it really cements all this, and news is rippling through all the people just in a tremendous way. Now they were also aware of the fact that you guys had to do it. That they didn't do this themselves. That their reaction as a society was to run away. There were a few that stuck and tried to hold their ground. But it just never, the combat never went that longer or got that far.
I do make sure to go and retrieve my arrows, specifically keeping track of all my owl feathers ones. If they're damaged, then
You get the owl one back.
cool.
You get them both back.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah. So this is probably the initiating point of the actual meeting, because you now have this thing to butcher up as well.
Yeah. With that butchering, I'd want to make sure that the hide is kept separate and stretched over like flat rocks and things to make shields, definitely armor potentially out of. That we're until we go hunting these things, we're not going to have an opportunity like this.
Oh yeah. So yeah, the hide for anything big like that bear, it laid on flat rocks. It's gonna cure flat.
the
and very
the
rich
lizard
and sturdy.
definitely was what I was going for. I'm not sure if they'd want to do more damage to the bear hide, that they want to keep that as a trophy or something.
I
But the
see.
lizard definitely.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You definitely. You're telling Jacob, because that's probably
Yeah, kind
the
of
principal guys gonna be skinning this thing.
almost definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at it as like shield potential.
Oh yeah, it's like, okay, that's a lot of armor and good sturdy bones for weapons and big old teeth.
Right. So, yeah, they're set up so the town hall then
Make a plow out of the jaw.
in this next day. Yeah, and honestly, the bones and organs, a lot of material. So at the end of the day, when this thing's been butchered and everyone, it's just there's this overwhelming joy through this settlement. They've never
Grilled.
experienced. Yeah, yeah, the savory smells of meat. That they've never experienced this much community, even even that it's not an organized community yet. So you can tell this is going just so well. And it seems that people that were on the periphery that are coming in even faster as word gets spread out that this combat just happened, and that it happened right here at the pavilion. That seems to be important. Like there's a portent in that as well. And so as they're all coming in, the pavilion's set up. You've been preparing this stuff, for the whole week, but definitely today. Everyone is arranging themselves on the grass around this lawn area for this town hall meeting to happen.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Empire's Edge. Send us your comments and merchandise ideas using hashtag unnatural20. Check out mattsinkovich.com and theempiresedge.com for extras and behind-the-scenes content. If you'd like to support the podcast, join our Subscribestar at subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge.
That this you can't eat it, but you can use it to make dye. That's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah, and if you do eat it, you also make dye.
Save that joke for,
Yeah, right?
for when we're recording.